Iron Maiden, the Book of Souls. So, at last, I've been waiting for this moment pretty much ever since I've been an Iron Maiden fan to actually pick up an Iron Maiden album the first day it comes out at the record store. In fact, they also gave me this lithogram right here, which is really cool. I really enjoy it. I just reserved my copy at FYE today on the day that it's out, and I'm really happy with my purchase. Um, of course, I've been a fan since even before the Final Frontier came out, but I guess I just didn't have the money or time in order to pick it up at the store, and I didn't even know there was a record store in my area at the time. But now I've got this, I have a job to pay for it, and yeah. Anyway, enough wasting time. Let's get to the review, shall we? I wore my Iron Maiden jacket specifically for this occasion. In fact, it's a bit small, but in my other reviews for the Iron Maiden discography, since I've reviewed every other album that they've done, I think at this point it probably fits me a lot better than it did then, really, because I've lost a lot of weight since then, as you'll see. If you want to see the other reviews, I'll leave a link down below. If you want to see the entire discography series, this will be added to it. This is the latest addition to it. But anyway, it's time to get to the real meat of the actual video, what you came to see. So here we go. So it's been half a decade since the Final Frontier, and even though this band doesn't really need to prove anything else to the Iron Maiden faithful, we still want to see how this album does, obviously. They release new material when we want to see how it sounds. Especially after the long wait and everything that's happened in between. There was a massive 3-year tour for the Maiden England tour, which was the first time I've seen Iron Maiden, by the way. I saw them back in 2012. Really awesome show. Um, there was also the death of Clive Burr, the former drummer of Iron Maiden, due to MS. I believe Bruce Dickinson had recently been diagnosed with tongue cancer. I believe he had a tumor like in the back of his tongue, similar to what my dad has, and also similar to what my dad has. Like, they've both recovered, so that's really good news for me personally and for Bruce Dickinson as an Iron Maiden fan. So I can sympathize with his experience, but also rejoice in his recovery also. So, with all that said, how does this album hold up? I know you guys probably heard the album already. I just didn't want to make a review until I got my actual copy of the record to show that I bought it, obviously, and I didn't just get a fucking leak. I tried holding off until I got the album, but I couldn't resist. I had to listen to the leak, and then I listened to the actual CD again. Obviously, the CD sounds better, but I'm here to tell you that the hype is very much well justified and deserved. First off, let's talk about Bruce Dickinson. Um, Despite having had cancer, in fact, he may have had the tumor like during the actual recording itself, and along with his age at 57 years old, and the big 3-year Maiden England tour in between the release of Final Frontier and this new album, he sounds as vital as always, really. In fact, he sounds downright rejuvenated over the last album, where I thought to myself he was starting to sound a little bit tired. He still sounded good, but he was starting to wear down a little bit. Um, he kind of reminds me, well, actually, he does remind me of like Wolverine. No matter how worn out and damaged he gets, he just comes back stronger than ever. It's like his vocal cords have that sort of rejuvenating ability that Wolverine has whenever he's like damaged. It just like heals right back up. It's like a perfect metaphor for Bruce Dickinson just as a performer, and just his performance on this album overall. Really good. In fact, just downright amazing. We also need to talk about the rest of the band, obviously. The musicianship is extremely tight and first class, as would be expected, but I'm still really shocked at just how impressive it really is. It's like they've recaptured that energy of the 1980s, just whenever you listen to this, even though the band members are like older now. They're all in like their 50s, some of them are in their 60s, and they still sound really young and really timeless, which is just really, really cool. In fact, the songwriting seems to reflect a bit of a fusion, so to speak, of Iron Maiden's core musical approaches. One part is the classic 1980s sound. You hear some passages in here that remind and recall very much of, say, Wasted Years and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner in a couple songs, and while also continuing with the progressive approach that they've been going down for the past couple of decades or so. So, basically, longer songs, shifting dynamics, use of synths, conceptual themes, even though this isn't a concept album by any means. You get what I mean, regardless. I don't think I have to explain that too much. So, in this case, it kind of goes both ways. And despite what I said about some passages reminding of like Wasted Years and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, that's not to say that um, these are like retreads or recycling of riffs or anything like that. That's not to say they've run out of ideas and they need to take ideas from older songs in order to make new music. I would say that this sounds more like a triumphant perfection of both their classic 80s and their new prog metal sounds. This is what makes great bands, in my opinion. You use a formula that has already proven successful, but continue to innovate with that formula or through that formula. So that's what I was trying to get across. There's so many great tracks to list off of both sides of this double album, Uno, Dos. And it's not too often that you see big mainstream bands like Iron Maiden release a double album set, unless it's like a deluxe edition or like a live set or something. It's not too often that you see them release like a double studio album that was meant to be released as two CDs. Um, I've seen, I know Genesis has The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and Yes has Tales from Topographic Oceans, but it's not too often that you see like big mainstream bands like Iron Maiden like do this. So that's really cool. In fact, some of those standout tracks that I wanted to list off this album, like there's no real filler tracks on this album or anything, but some tracks that have stood out to me are like If Eternity Should Fail, which I think is a fantastic opening number. There's the first single, Speed of Light, which fits right at home on the full length. Tears of a Clown, I believe, is a poignant tribute to Robin Williams. May he rest in peace. The Man of Sorrows is a pretty gloomy tune that I think is really cool. Dave Murray always has like that choice tune that is on most Iron Maiden albums every once in a while, like Still Life off of Peace of Mind, Deja Vu off of Somewhere in Time, The Prophecy off of Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, and this is his contribution here, The Man of Sorrows. And of course, I have to mention all three of the 10-minute plus tracks. So the title track, Red and the Black, which is fucking fantastic, and of course, the soon to be legendary Empire of the Clouds. So I want to focus on this song in particular because it's already made history within the Iron Maiden catalog, pretty much in all of Iron Maiden history. It's now officially their longest song ever written, and is one of the first songs to include like a prominent piano section. And there's some horns and violins in there too, like horns, violins, pianos. You never thought that that would be a thing in Iron Maiden, and now it's here. In fact, it's played by Bruce. I had goosebumps the first time I heard it, especially when his voice came in, and it's just an incredibly like cinematic piece about the R-101 airship disaster in like the 30s. It effectively ended the British airship program. So obviously, really, really bad thing. It happened just a few years before the Hindenburg disaster, I believe. But it's this one that killed more people and had less coverage about it. More people remember the Hindenburg disaster than they do the R101 disaster. I don't think I even need to make a list of like the top songs of 2015 because yeah, this is my number one favorite song of 2015 because it is absolutely majestic. It is fucking gorgeous. They might as well just call it quits right here because I really don't know how they could possibly top this. Nothing more really needs to be said. It needs to be heard to be believed. Trust me, you'll be blown away. I guarantee it. It's pretty amazing. It's just astonishing that just this late into Iron Maiden's career, they're still able to break some amazing milestones. This is their longest album, therefore, the need to make it a double album at an hour and a half long. And obviously, with that comes their longest songs to date. For the longest time, for 31 years, Rime of the Ancient Mariner just stood its ground as the longest song Iron Maiden would ever write, and we thought they wouldn't be able to exceed that limit. We thought that that would be like the upper echelon of Iron Maiden song length. Only now for it to be fucking obliterated. That long-standing record was officially just ceased by the 18-minute Empire of the Clouds. Not to mention the red and the black meeting up to it with an almost neck-to-neck difference of 11 seconds. So red and the black is the shorter song, but it comes so damn close to beating Rime of the Ancient Mariner, it's crazy. The fact that this band still sounds so vital, so youthful, and so creatively inspired after literally 4 decades of being the band that they are. 1975, 2015, yeah, officially, like literally 4 decades of constant touring, countless album releases, and overall wear and tear. That should be a world record in of itself, I believe. This may be a cop out, but fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. This gets a perfect 10 out of 10. Not 1 second of this hour and a half long release is squandered by meandering filler. Obviously, there's songs on here that I prefer more than others, but there's no stinkers, there's no filler tracks, there's nothing here that really wastes your time. There's something of value on every single track. This is a meal cooked to perfection, and I'm not just saying that as a big Iron Maiden fan, I'm saying this as a music fan. This goes without saying that this is my album of the year, hands down. I've already listened to some really great releases this year. Steven Wilson's Hand Cannot Erase, Blind Guardian's new one. There's been really great albums this year, but this takes the gold. This gets first place. And it's already catapulted up there to being one of my favorite Iron Maiden albums, period. If not my absolute favorite. It's crazy to think about, right? And if this ends up becoming Iron Maiden's final album, I'd say this is a perfect way to end it all, while out on top, of course. You don't want to make that Frequency Unknown, you don't want to make that Dedicated to Chaos album. You want to go out while you still have vitality and energy and are willing to leave a lasting impression on people. If the last song that you write is going to be something like Big Noise off of Decade to Chaos, I know I keep bringing that example up, but it's just so fucking awful, then you're going to leave a bit of a sour taste in people's mouths. But if you're going to leave on a song like Empire of the Clouds, then people are going to remember you as being the legendary band that you are. I mean, I'm not saying if they had released a really bad song as their last song that they would not be considered legendary, but I'm just saying with a song like Empire of the Clouds, it just makes that last impression that Iron Maiden gives to be a very vital, very important one that just stands the test of time and will leave you with fond memories of that great band. Though I know, like, I've heard from Bruce saying that this may not even be the last album, like their 16th. They said, like, he had so much fun making this album that, like, he hopes that this won't be the last one, so they may be able to conjure up enough energy for at least one more, who knows. And if they can somehow make a better song than Empire of the Clouds, then even my highest expectations would have proven far too low. And I know this review is becoming as long as the album itself, but I think a long album deserves a long review. At least that's my justification for it. So I just wanted to leave off on this last point. Buy this album here and now. In wherever country you live in, Portugal, Spain, the UK, Ireland, Austria, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and especially my home country, the US. Make it number one on the Billboard 200. Like, for the love of God, even though I'm atheist, so I don't believe in God, but that's beside the point. I know the temptation to hoard your leaked torrent is strong, very strong, but there's a conceivable chance we can have an album with 3 songs over 10 minutes long and a gem like Empire of the Sun. make it to #1 rather than the next shitty Jason Aldean or One Direction album. So make it happen. That's in order. Thank you very much. Up the irons. And I'll see you later. Thank you and take care.